Two geeks, one night. One night?
Night?
Two geeks, one night.
Oh.
Amber, does that make you our knight in shining armor?
Yes. I'm the paladin today. White knighting everyone.
Love it. I
It's a
love
good
that
day.
for you. You have your work cut out for you. Two geeks, one Mike. Mike. Two geeks, one Mike. Back again with another banger of an episode. Hi, I'm Josh. If you didn't know already.
I
am Eamon.
Amber, I guess I'll jump in as well.
Yeah, get up in there. It's Amber from Road to Tarvalon. If you don't know her by now, you can stop what you're doing and watch all the other episodes that we do together because she's amazing.
Oh, thank you.
No, thank you.
This was an episode.
Oh. It was. So, for those of you who have been following along, for those of you who have not been following along, we have been doing show reviews of The Acolyte, which, ominous music plays. We've got some extremely controversial points of view on this television series. It has taken the internet by storm, and people have been less than satisfied.
It happens.
You don't say.
Now, I will say this series as a whole, thus far, again, I don't make any overall judgments on the series as a whole until the end, until we have the whole thing. Because storytelling be like that sometimes. You can have a complete mystery. Oh, Gideon the Ninth. Oh my God. That whole book, I read that whole book and it was like, what the hell is going on? And then finally in like the last 5 chapters, it just right together in a nice neat bow. And you're just like, what? It was great. I got to read the other books in the series. So I'm not going to pass judgment just yet. I'm not hopeful, but I'm not willing to pass judgment just yet. I will say this though, for the series as a whole, it has been largely underwhelming with some nuggets of real, pure, wondrous beauty. Like, would you guys agree and say that is a fair assessment, or would you disagree and have a different assessment of your own?
I'll let Eamon go first.
You're so kind.
As I've said, every episode, I'm trying to go in open-minded because I want to like the series. Like, I want to like everything Star Wars. But there has been some serious letdowns of, where are you going? Why are we trying to change lore and things that have been based in Star Wars since the very beginning? And, it's almost like, yeah, they did some research into it, but then said we're going to make up everything else, and who cares what George Lucas said, right? So it's just like, what are you doing? Stop it. I don't like it.
Yeah, they kind of went their own direction, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then to the point of bringing in things that have been literally a joke in the Star Wars community for years. And they brought it in on this episode. I'm like, why?
Amber, how about you? How are you feeling about the series? Just this general series as a whole.
Generally speaking, again, I'm not very well versed in the Star Wars universe, but I think this show, one of the good things that it has going for it is it seems very accessible to anyone. You know what I mean? You could watch this with a kid, probably not too young, but it doesn't really seem to have anything that's too over the top, too mature. And I think if you look at it on that level, for just kind of it being a generally you can sit down with the kids and watch it, something like that, it's fine. It's fun. We've got some fun lightsaber battles. You've got some really good action sequences, which I think, that might be a selling point for some people. But when it comes down to kind of like the themes of the show, like what is the message? What are they really trying to convey at the very, you know, like foundation of it all? And I'm assuming that it's, you know, this whole like question of like the power of two, right? Like the twins, and then like they're using that as a foundation to show like the strained relationships between like student and teacher on both sides of light and dark, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Unfortunately, that theme for me, I think it would hit a lot harder if, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but like if we would have skipped like a lot of the stuff in the beginning and went like straight to,
Yes.
you know, like perhaps, I mean, did we really need the background episode on the twins? I really love that episode, by the way. Like, I think it's one of the stronger episodes in a bubble. Like, if you took it out of the series,
right,
standing alone, it was good. But in the sense of like the whole series, I mean, I probably would have been like, oh, there's all of these people are dying. We didn't really need the introduction to like the people that were killed, because no emotional attachment. They barely have any lines. It doesn't really matter. And I think that was supposed to show Osha's, you know, personality, her values, what she's all about.
Yeah.
And now it's just like this, you know, switched twins plot line. And I mean,
we're going Parent Trap. We're going full Parent Trap on the Acolyte.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine, but I'm hoping that at the end of the series there will be a little bit more depth to it, like something a little bit more like, I don't know. I am enjoying it though, but I think it's just hard because this episode, I watched it twice, and it was like the episode from 2 weeks ago where I was like, I watched that episode 3 times thinking I had to have missed something. Like there had to be like a nugget of information or something really important, but it was just kind of like them wandering around and doing things. And I mean, it almost seems like this series could have been shortened by 2 episodes.
So far. I love a couple of things that you went there that I want to chew on for just a second. One, I love your power of two theme, the thought of your power of two, because I've been kind of thinking about that as well, and I haven't really had the words to like articulate that until you just kind of labeled it for me right there, and now it exists. So thank you for that. It would tie in the coven nicely, right? If they had some understanding of the Force that helps the twins not only reconnect, but also sort of, and I know the Star Wars community is going to hate what I'm about to say, but also bring some kind of balance to the Force, to the situation. That would be an interesting storyline, right? That would be real interesting. And then to have the story be about, like you were saying, that strained sort of relationship between master and apprentice, and how difficult and challenging that can be, because, you know, as we've learned time and time again, you know, master and apprentice doesn't mean I'm your master, you do everything I tell you to. Master and apprentice really means I'm teaching you, I'm learning from you, and it is a tremendous responsibility to be a trainer, Padawan, or an apprentice, because you have the responsibility of making sure that that person is well educated, is wise, like they learn wisdom, which means you need to allow them a certain measure of failure in their journey. So there's a lot of responsibility that goes into training someone and a lot of trust that goes into that dynamic. And so when you've got strained trust, strained, if there's too much failure or too much success, we've got problems there. It's a very, very delicate balance. And so I love the idea that we've got a duality, a sort of a story about a duality between two people, whether it be siblings, whether it be master and apprentice, whether it be enemies, I mean, there's a dynamic there that, if not illustrated properly, just doesn't seem believable. And that, I feel like that's kind of what we're getting here. Because we've got several storylines going on right now. We've got the storyline between May and Osha. We've got the storyline with Saul, Master Saul, whatever happened.
What happened? Yes.
What is going on?
Yeah, we've got the storyline here, which by and large doesn't seem to be connected to anything.
I'm so confused with him.
Except through May.
He just wants an acolyte, right? Like, that's it.
I
mean, buddy, there's willing people out there. Why are you?
You could have stayed on your unknown planet. They don't know where it is. You could have stayed there and done whatever the hell you wanted.
Yeah.
Like, why did you leave your planet?
Those little elephant birds on the shoreline, train one of them. Like,
right?
There's
and then we've got the Jedi Council, who's
don't even know where they are. I haven't seen them yet,
or why they matter to the story at all.
They don't.
And it's not even the High Council. It's just one of, I guess they've got a different hierarchy, a different structure. It's like a subcommittee, a Jedi subcommittee. That's what I'm gonna start calling it.
I have a question. Do we think Vernestra is in on something with Saul, and she hopped on a ship real fast to get there, and we know that she doesn't like traveling, right? So, is she in cover up mode, or does she think Saul did something? Where is this? What's happening? Where's this going? I'm so confused.
That was such a dumb line of dialogue. Let's go to Kofar, and he's space sick. What?
I find it unpleasant. What? What?
There's got to be a reason. Okay, obviously the most obvious reason would be what they gave us. She's there to investigate, see what happened, right? But I almost get the feeling that there's some type of cover up or secret
there has to be
thing happening.
That's the thing. We don't freaking know, because we got the one background episode.
What? Sorry.
Almost had it. No, we got the background episode that explained, okay, that's how the whole coven got wiped out, and May and Osha have this beef now. But it didn't show anything of how the Jedi were involved, except that they showed up and tried to convince them that they wanted to take Osha to test. That's it. So what did they do on that planet that makes them all feel so guilty that years later they're killing themselves or going into exile? It makes zero sense. And Soul, with each episode, we keep saying he's probably the big bad. We have that theory. But he keeps jumping back and forth to extremes that I'm like, what are you doing? He's super sad about all his buddies just got killed, but I'm going to leave all their bodies here. Screw them. Take off, turn my transponder off, and run. No idea where he's going.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Why?
It's like they're hiding this huge backstory, but why? Why hide it? We need, give us some hint of what the heck happened.
But not only that, but we're getting to the point where it's so convoluted that we're I'm not even sure I care what happened. Now everybody's dead who knows anything about it except for Master Saul. And apparently Vernestra has some vested interest in this, but she wasn't there.
Yeah.
So we're kind of I'm kind of getting to the point that this is actually honestly where I got with Game of Thrones after the first book. And I was just kind of I don't know who any of these people are. I don't care about any of these people. You killed the only two people I was invested in, and granted, you know, in a
not Daddy Ned, not Daddy Ned Stark.
Dude, that was him, that was me, and I was like, nope, he's gone. Okay, cool. But this whole story, like Master Saul, I'm still invested in Saul. I am. Like I said, I think he's got the dark past, you know, the dark past.
He's got something.
The history here. I'm into it. I like it. I don't care about May and Osha. I don't. They don't have clear story further than, as I said in the last week, they are the glue that brings these people together. You know, they're the catalyst to push this story. Other than that, I don't care. Like, what are they doing? We don't know anything about them except that they came from a coven of witches magically.
Yeah,
I could have taken a whole season about the witches, honestly.
Yes,
right? Just the witches. Let me know what the hell happened there.
Give me 8 episodes about the witches learning about the Force and creating life using the Force.
Yeah.
Hey.
And then the Jedi figure it out.
That would be great. And then, yeah, if you want to make the villains the Jedi, then yeah, bring the Jedi in at the last episode and have them kill everybody except for the twins. And now we've got May and Osha. Like, cool, great, awesome. But this I don't know.
I hated the most.
I don't even know what's going on anymore. I don't even know what's going on anymore. I feel like Timon.
No idea.
Did I miss something here?
The worst part is Venstra. I was so excited for her character when I found out because I was able to go back and read. Like, oh yeah, she's from the books. She's a prodigy Jedi Knight. She was a Jedi Knight at 15. That's when she passed her trials and became a knight.
Yeah, she's a little
15
badass.
years old. She's a prodigy. She is now a high. She should probably be on the Jedi Council at this point, honestly, with how in tune with the Force and everything you are. But she's acting like a lower end Jedi who just like is sending other people on secret missions that the Council doesn't need to know about, and you know, having meetings with senators behind like others back. You're like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
her lightsaber whip was pretty cool, but
that was the joke.
Was it?
The lightsaber whip and like other versions of lightsaber like that have, in my opinion, been a joke in the Star Wars community.
I thought
I thought it was funny that you brought it to life. I went, "You're freaking kidding."
I liked it. I mean, variations of weapons are fun.
Wasn't Mara Jade the one who wielded the light whip in the expanded universe?
Are there other variations of lightsabers that do?
I mean, you've got the ones with the cross pommels, which actually I'm surprised they haven't brought it because that was a huge High Republic thing. So, like Kylo Ren's, how it had the 2 exhaust ports. That was couldn't create his lightsaber correctly. So, if you look at original High Republic ones, they had a cross guard that would come out and then light up across here as well. So they actually had a guard of their hand. And they were more like fencing.
Okay, so it looks like it was the witches of Dathomir
that did whip lightsabers.
That used whip lightsabers.
So there was witches using whip lightsabers?
Yeah, well, but the
Vernestra witch confirmed. They're changing it up.
Changing it up. Flip the script, baby.
Can I say something that I liked about this episode? Visually, this was probably the best episode just in terms of like overall look and art design and all of that. Like the locations were beautiful. Like these little like elephant bird thingies, like so cute. I'm wondering if there's some weird theme about like family or something, because like it kept cutting to this family of little creatures while May is with Chimere, but like visually very nice. I also like the sound effects and everything, like the background noise, the ambient noise in the background really felt nostalgic for me. It was just that the story was just kind of like,
yeah.
eh.
There's a lot there that kind of that falls a little weird for me. But diving into like with episode 6 specifically, just as a standalone, I agree with what you're saying there. There was one piece of this episode that I really loved, and it was Eamon. This is what I started talking to you about last night when they're talking about his helmet.
Oh yeah.
And she's like, "Oh yeah, well that what's in there?" And he basically says it's a sensory deprivation helmet. There's just you and the Force. And I thought, okay, that's cool as hell.
That was very cool. That was very cool.
It made it such that you have this guy is a true acolyte of the Force, right? He's a true Force sensitive person who just wants to learn more about the Force, and like you said, passes his knowledge on to the rest of the.
It was like Arya Stark when she's blind, training with
Yeah.
Needle. Mm-hmm.
So you get this nice thing, but I lose it though again because I thought about it and I was like, okay, this is really cool. Especially you take into account, he's got a real deep connection with the Force, obviously. If he's able to wear this helmet that is a sensory deprivation and it's just him and the Force just flowing and going, baby. Yeah. But that's not a Sith teaching. The Jedi are the ones who are like, and you see this in episode 1 with Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Darth Maul fighting. Qui-Gon knows he's going to die going into that battle. 100% knows he's going to die. But he goes into the battle because the Force wills it. He is one with the Force and understands the will of the Force. And that's what he does. Obi-Wan does not. Obi-Wan lets his passions overcome him, and that's how he defeats Darth Maul, right? So, and in that sense, he strays from the Jedi path. And this is actually one of the reasons why, and if you read the novelization of the prequels, this is one of the reasons why it talks about Obi-Wan becoming a master of the first form, because it is purely defensive. And he never, ever, ever wants to do that again. And so he becomes basically a paragon of what it means to be a Jedi Knight and later on a Jedi Master. But you don't get that here with Smiley, with Chimere. You get a guy who is in tune with the Force and going into battle deprives himself of sensory input so that he may flow with the Force and follow the will of the Force. And that's a Jedi teaching. That's very Jedi. Sith are the ones who talk about taking the Force, making it their own, forcing it into submission, and using it as a power to gain control or to gain, prestige or whatever it is that they're after. They view it as a tool to be used. So here you've got an interesting dynamic where this guy who is a Sith, the showrunners have called him a Sith. He's called himself a Sith. Like all this Sithness is happening with him. And yet he's got a very Jedi teaching that he lives by. So it's an interesting, and the title of the show is Corruption. So
who was corrupted?
This is a fun dynamic. This is an interesting and I know it was kind of a throwaway bit a throwaway interaction, or it seemed to be anyway. But I really find it interesting when you come at it from a meta, almost Force lore perspective.
Do we think that Khmer, because he has these attributes, that he was possibly trained by a Jedi at one time? If there's he seems to still be following some parts of their teaching.
Master Soul.
That it sounds believable. Soul is obviously struggling with something. And I do think Khmer is a really interesting character. I would have loved, his reveal to have been 2 episodes ago. And then we get really all of these little things that you're talking about with, the helmet and the Force at a deprivation tank would have been really fun to explore a little bit more.
Yeah.
But now I'm confused because this episode was fun in the way that they're and now he's a thirst trap on the beach. That was interesting. I enjoyed that. But also I'm a little bit confused because he seems to be really intelligent and there's something about him that feels very knowledgeable and he's really excelling, and we've seen his fighting styles where you're he knows his stuff. But then he's doing really weird stuff where he took May knowing it's May, not Osha, and he's I want an acolyte. It was but dude, she doesn't want to be one. She was with the other guys. And so for a second in the episode, I was oh, does he think she's Osha? Or they're twins. If I can corrupt one, I can corrupt two. I don't understand all of a sudden where he's just oh yeah, she's totally going to be into this. She'll join me. He's pushing that really hard.
He is way confident, isn't he?
Yeah, he's pushing that really hard, but we've seen absolutely nothing from May that would lead me to believe that she would get down like that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So this will she or won't she plot, I'm just
something else too, and this is actually a broader statement, movies and TV in general, that I'm actually kind of over. We don't have bad guys anymore. Nobody comes in and says, I'm a bad guy because I like doing bad things. There's no, now we have to muddy the waters, right? We have to go, oh, well, he's a bad guy, but look at why. And now we can really feel empathy for him. You know what? That dude just went on a murder spree and taught he indoctrinated a child to also go on a murder spree. So yes, boo-hoo, sad backstory. Guess what? Dude's a murderer. He's the villain. I don't want to have empathy for a person like that.
Personally, I love a villain origin story. Unfortunately, in this show, that's not what we're getting because the origin story is the question mark throughout the entire series. So had I gotten the origin story, I might be all in for this guy and his, I guess, wavering of am I good? He's not good, but there's parts about him where you feel there could be a reason for what he's doing. He's not just out there murdering children for funsies. Or maybe he is, I don't know.
Like another guy we know, Anakin. No, I'm very much on board with that. Oh, go ahead, Eamon. Sorry.
In the very beginning, he's you would call me a Sith, but he doesn't consider himself a Sith for whatever freaking reason. But now he's just proving the point of, yeah, you're not one because you're not following teachings of a Sith. You're saying you want the power of 2, But the power of two is a master and an apprentice, not
which is also
master
his teaching.
An acolyte, or the partner. That's never how that works. And you were set. You have your own little unknown planet, which surprisingly looks like the place that Luke ends up in the last episode.
I saw a theory today that it's not Luke's planet. It is.
I figured
it is Darth Plagueis's planet. Because apparently in the book Darth Plagueis, the planet that he's on has cortosis deposits.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that scene. Yeah, I really enjoyed that scene when she's looking at the helmet and the camera kind of like pans away and you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like, I love little things like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, there is something interesting about this guy, right? He's kind of giving like a Darth Buddha vibe where it's like he's a bad guy.
Buddha. I love that. I love that.
Jacked Darth Buddha.
There you go.
That makes me happy.
Oh man. I will say there were two major parts of this episode that I loved to death, and I was just like, ah! One, Basil being a little badass and running up and attacking May in the ship. I was like, Basil, this woman could kick the out of you, and you just said screw it.
That was giving me Critters flashbacks.
Legit. Look, Basil for MVP all day, every day. I'm a fan.
They don't come out with like a Basil plushie or something, I'm gonna be pissed.
I want one. I would take it.
100%.
Basil plushies.
The other thing was the goat. When she took Pip and factory reset. I was
cold-blooded.
Wait, what?
She murdered Pip.
I'm like, we can just factory reset all our droids. Is that a thing now?
Because the thing about the
whole series is we always fall in love with the droids because they have their own personalities, they have their ways of communicating, and we know there's obviously they erase C-3PO's memory and things of that nature. But she just went straight factory reset. You are zeroed out.
Ice cold.
She murdered Pip.
She did. Straight up murdered
that bitch.
There's no coming back from that. Trying to murder your like young twin sister in painful, excruciating fire.
Kill her.
Resetting Pip. There's no coming back from that.
And for all those of you who think I'm overreacting, let me come up to you, take your phone out of your pocket, and factory reset your phone right in front of you. Don't come for me.
Yep.
You. I hear you.
So a couple of things that just didn't make sense with this episode, but were visually kind of cool. Vernestra getting on the ship to fly out to Kofor, right, to investigate what's going on because Master Saul turns off his transponder and bolts. I loved him flying away from the planet as soon as they popped up. That was cool.
Turn it off. Bye.
They go down. I did really enjoy seeing Vernestra and crew finding the spot. Get a whole episode of them walking through the forest to find it, though. But they did go. They found the spot. They were looking at. They were investigating. They were like, "Oh shit! Like everything's dead." But herein lies another issue, right? No, didn't they say that Saul? Aren't they saying that Saul is the one who?
That's one of their theories. There's an explosion. There's a great battle. What other Jedi could have possibly done this? Apparently, Saul's more of a badass than they're portraying him.
This feels like a patsy,
Right?
Yeah,
it's a scapegoat.
But this also kind of helps clear some of those continuity breaks, though. Maybe it's not a cover up. Maybe Ki-Adi-Mundi doesn't know about the Sith because Vernestra is going to come back and be like, Master Saul's a rogue Jedi and we need to take him out. Totally unrelated to Sith. Maybe that's how it is. And also, once again, we've got this erratic behavior from Saul. We don't know why he turned off his transponder and ran.
Yeah.
Maybe he doesn't trust Vernestra. Maybe he's the big bad and he's got to figure out how to spin this. I don't know. It's just a weird, or maybe he's protecting May. Like, he seems to have a soft spot for these twins for some reason.
Right.
And he's protecting them. He's not concerned at all that Osha is on unknown planet with Smiley. Like, something's weird. Like, he's willing to protect the twins from the Jedi Council. And if we look at his actions going back, he spent the entire series defending them.
I just want to say that this conversation is more intriguing and more exciting than like the actual episode. Like the No, I'm not. No. Like I'm not trying to be like that. But I'm just saying.
No, like, I hear you.
The like the speculation and the conversation revolving around like what is the deal here. That's like the high point of the series. I think that like you can actually after the episode try and like piece the puzzle together.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean the only fear of that for me is like all of the things that we've been like throwing back and forth like all seem like really cool fun ideas. If they're all wrong and it's not as cool as our speculation.
Oh, we're gonna be so off.
So I will say this, like along with that, and again, as I've stressed again and again and again and again, being a geek means never having to apologize for loving the things you right? Paraphrasing Simon Pegg there. But if you don't like it, if you don't enjoy it, it's still fun to chew into the metaphysics, into the lore, into the thing. And it's fun to point out.
I know nothing about the lore, and I'm enjoying this thoroughly.
Right.
And that's a popular thing that they do in movies and television is to bring other people in. What do we got? We've got Coca-Cola for the last 80 years. Hey, if we do Sprite, it's still a soft drink, but maybe we could sell to other people. Maybe we could bring other people in and incorporate people in who would have never tried Coca-Cola, but Sprite, they're down with. Hear what I'm saying, guys. As a showrunner, your job is to make a show that people watch. Guess what? Fucking nailed it. Like everybody's watching the show so that they can complain about it on the internet next week. And guess what? No publicity is bad publicity.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Secondly, if I'm at Lucasfilm right now, I'm going, people are talking about me. We're good.
Yep.
Now, I don't want people to talk about me in a negative way. Obviously, I would prefer.
But you're a person, not a TV show.
I would prefer they talk about my brand in a positive way. But if I can keep people talking about Star Wars, cool. And my fear is that there's a bit of antagonism going on where they're just like, we're going to do whatever we want and we're going to antagonize people. And it's like, I don't like that brand of marketing, but it is effective. Donald Trump.
I mean, it also seems too from like the small amount of like really hateful stuff that I've seen online about this show is like a lot of people are really butt pained that it's like so many women, you know, like the twins, like I don't know, like for me, I don't care. Like I'm going to read and watch anything. I can sympathize and, you know, understand any character despite like age or, you know, gender or whatever. Like that doesn't bother me, but also like I'm kind of immune to it because like, you know, like typically like a lot of sci-fi and fantasy and stuff like that, it tends to be, not always, it tends to be kind of aimed at a certain type of person. And so like I can't be mad at this show for like doing something a little bit different and like saying like not only is it going to be like a female lead, it's going to be two of them, but like they're also sisters, twins, and like one's a good guy, one's a bad guy. So like it, you know, like that's fine for me. They're casting a wide net too, because like in the episode that we talked about, how what was it that like that one really famous like viral video from Disneyland, the little girl like kneeling
Yes.
to
Oh yeah.
yeah. So like I mean like cool. Like I like female characters, but I also like baddies. Like I like the bad guys as well. So like maybe they're kind of doing that with May and Osha. Maybe, you know, Osha will become, you know, really, really, really bad and really, really powerful.
Yeah.
But at this point in time, like, I still want to know, like, how powerful are they? I mean, we haven't really got to see them use the Force except for when they were children. So, like, I want, you know, like, I hope that there's a really nice climax at the end, even if we're not getting, like, super deep and there's not, like, a really, I don't know, like mature, like, you know, super interesting theme for me. Give me the action. Like I want to see some dual force using ladies.
Well, it's just like the oh, it's not Knights of the Old Republic. What was the series, Josh, that had the twins, the two dudes, twins? You always see like clips of it nowadays.
What type of show is it?
So it's old Star Wars lore. I don't even think it's canon anymore.
No, it's a
but it was
EU.
basic. Yeah, it was an offshoot of the. They weren't actually Jedi, if I remember correctly. They were like offshoot of the Jedi, but they were twin brothers, and one was super strong and powerful. One was more force sensitive, and they fought together, like led armies, like warlords. Yeah,
They referenced them in the MMORPG, the online.
Yeah. So
the big online game, which
but
is a lot of fun.
There's eventually a point where they turn on each other. Obviously, when they start fighting against each other. So that's what I'm looking for. I want to see either they're going to team up and become a badass team and start, you know, roaming the galaxy as vigilantes or something, or we're going to see two major armies start battling against each other. Right.
It does seem that way.
Yeah, it's interesting too. I've noticed, kind of going back to what you were saying, Amber. People who make complaints about the gender or the race or the demographic in general of the actors in a TV show or a movie, those arguments hold no water. They are non-substantive. They don't work. It doesn't matter. I'm sorry. And if you're mad that I said that, go back to what George Lucas said straight up. He said, in the beginning, we had Star Wars, and the point was it didn't matter if you were white or black or green or brown or covered in fur or male or female or whatever. It didn't matter. Everyone is equal. Okay? And he had that vision from episode 4. From the very first time anyone was introduced to the galaxy far, far away, right? Now, when it comes to specifically to because Amber, you're correct. When you got a lot of sci-fi, a lot of fantasy, a lot of these kinds of things really do appeal more widely to the male demographic than they do to the female demographic, which we talked about this a little bit earlier as well in previous episodes of this, where Disney, that's why Disney bought Marvel and Lucasfilm, because they had the little girls wanted to be princesses, and that, you know, hasn't changed too much. That appeals more to the female fan base than it does to the male fan base. Little boys just don't want to be princes. They want to be superheroes. They want to be Jedis. And so when they did that, it was a very smart move for them to incorporate and finally appeal to the whole family once again.
Mm-hmm.
Now, where you've got this thing going is, and keep in mind too, the hero of the original trilogy is Leia. I'm sorry, she is.
Yeah.
Hands down, and you can't convince me otherwise.
Carrie Fisher is the GOAT.
Changed
Like
my
she's,
mind.
Carried the
she's the
rebellion on her back the whole time, and was not once tempted by the dark side. Not once. And if you say, "Oh, that's because she wasn't tempted to use the dark side," bullshit. She saw her entire family die and fall apart, and not once was tempted to go to the dark side.
Yep.
So, for anybody who says, they don't like having female characters in there, your argument is dumb.
Invalid.
Stop. Like, let's focus on the story. Let's focus on what matters. Are we getting a good story? And as I said in the beginning, rounding this out, like, we are not getting a great story with the Acolyte. We are getting moments, though, that are pretty cool. If we want to just kind of see through the fog and give it a chance, we are seeing some moments that are pretty cool.
Agreed.
I don't know. That's for you to decide.
It always comes to a point, like, no matter what you do, if you have all men, this side's going to complain. If you have all women, this side's going to complain. And they're just the ones that are talking, because there's the other 10 million people who are watching that are going, we don't care, and we're not posting it. Freaking matter.
They're watching it and being like, yeah, that was cool.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's just the groups that want to scream. They're stupid.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think the show is like pretty average. I don't think it's bad by any means. I think it might not be the type of story that I tend to like normally gravitate towards, but that's okay. I'm not hating it. I do think it's hard too, I think, when you know, like, you're gonna, after the episode, we're all gonna come together, sit down and talk about it. I do get that little like pained feeling when the episode doesn't have like a lot of things happening. And I don't need everything to be action packed either. But the mystery is starting to kind of get like, it's just repeating the mystery and recycling it, I guess, every episode. And I don't feel like we're getting a lot of like, payoff, perhaps.
Yeah. Well, and again, that's if you've not read Gideon the Ninth, like my reference didn't hit the mark. But if you have read it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You spend the first 75-80% of the series just given, oh, here's this little bit of info. And also there's this little bit of info. Also, there's that little bit of info over there. There's that little bit of info over there. Oh, and that, 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 and that. And you're going, how does any of this tie together? How does any of this make sense? I'm getting so frustrated right now because I don't care about that, and that. What's going on with this and what's going on with this? And then in like the last 5%, the last 10% of the series is just like weaving it all together in this pretty little ball of yarn. And you're like, oh, damn, that was good. Now, are they going to do that with the Acolyte? If we have an 8-episode series,
you're a little far behind.
It's going to be real difficult for them to wrap everything up in two 45 to 50-minute segments.
Yeah, I'm really curious how the pacing to the next 2 episodes will go. If it's just like a fire hose of like reveals and like interesting moments. I don't know. Like I'm very open to like changing my mind on this series depending on like how these next 2 go.
Yep.
But again, like so many questions.
And you know, as a testament to this, it's real hard to talk about the episode because a lot didn't happen. I mean, we could talk about the light whip. You know, she killed one of the Umbra moths with the light whip.
That was fun.
There it is. There's the light whip. Cool.
I'm like into it. Eamon shaking his head like, God, why?
I
Why,
don't
God,
understand the light
why?
whip. I really don't. I never will. I get a light pike. I get light other weapons, but a light whip, I'm like, why?
I'm all for introducing variations of lightsaber. I know when Darth Maul came out and had the double-bladed lightsaber, everybody was like, "Ooh, this is
like
so
cool." They need like a
I'm not
Morning
hating
Star
it.
version.
And then Kylo Ren came out and he had the cross guard and everybody went, "That's so stupid." It wasn't. It was cool as shit. That was awesome, and I loved it. I thought it was great. So yeah, it only makes sense that they're going to find other variations. They're going to introduce other variations. So I mean, like, cool.
You can even look at Jedi the Last Survivor video game. All the variations you could do in that with the one lightsaber. Because you could do double-sided, you could do dual wielding. He could combine them and then put both blades together, so he basically had lightsaber greatsword. Like, he had the cross pommel, so he had all that in one lightsaber.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mind the variation.
Like a Swiss Army knife.
One of the best parts of the game. I loved it.
Let me get my lightsaber corkscrew out to open this bottle of wine. Space wine.
How bougie.
So I don't mind variations. We know there's light pikes. We've seen those before. There's what the Sith guards had, all the different versions of theirs.
There's light cycles from Tron.
Yeah. Multiverse over here. There is even an account of a light, what do they call it? A light ring, which is like a throwing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
At one point. You have like the Inquisitors who had the circle where they could like spin it like a propeller and come at you. Yeah.
The light frisbee.
A light frisbee. Be careful catching it.
Yeah. As we learned in Mad Max.
Bruno, no.
So there's all this variation, but the whip just doesn't make sense to me. I don't get it.
If you want to focus in on like what actually happened in this episode, okay, what happened in this episode? They both wake up. They're in their different places. May is pretending to be Osha for reasons. And Saul is on his ship with Osha, with May, very traumatized. Basil is running around the ship, sniffing things, being a little badass. Osha wakes up with Smiley on the planet, and he does the whole, yes, you can leave anytime you want. And she does the faux, I'm so mad, I'm going to attack and kill you. And then also doesn't kill him because reasons. Vernestra gets space sick, but she needs to go to Kofor to find out what's going on. They find out everybody was killed by lightsabers, and they go, oh, no, it's not a Sith, it's Master Saul. That's kind of it. Like, that's a summation of the episode. Like, not a lot happens.
Yeah, it seemed like the main part was trying to introduce the idea of like, okay, well, maybe the good twin can become bad and the bad twin can, change things around. But again, like that, we're going back and forth on that quite a bit. Like, I don't know.
The ending, too, just made me go, really? That was it? She puts on this helmet, we get the Darth Vader breathing, and then done.
I laughed. I was laughing so hard.
You showed me nothing there about that helmet.
I mean, if she doesn't turn to the dark, then that scene is real silly. Right? Like if she comes back, yeah. I don't know. I
can see them doing like some force visions, maybe, right? Because if he says it's full sensory deprivation, I did notice there are eye slits in it. So it's not full sensory deprivation. But I'm wondering if she's about to go on a little bit of a force journey like Luke did. like Obi-Wan did, like Rey did, like all these people. Like this is historically and canonically a huge moment for Force-sensitive people. They face their own darkness at some point.
Oh, yeah.
And they have to make a choice. They have to decide who they are in the face of that darkness. So maybe episode 7 is going to be Osha in May coming. But again, it would be a lot of wasted time because who are these people? Like, there's just too much to wrap up.
I have a prediction.
All right, let's go.
The next episode will focus on the like the self-enlightenment of like, who am I for some of these characters? Possibly. I mean, otherwise the helmet, what are we doing here?
There needs to be some payoff there, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe.
Awesome. All right, well, we're gonna wrap it up here. We're gonna be doing episode 7 next week. Tune in Friday evenings for our live streams where we talk about different geeky themes. And you like that? I just rhymed. Just thought of that on the fly there. And we're going to be talking about a lot of fun stuff coming up. We got a lot of fun projects coming up. We have conventions coming up. We've got all kinds of things that we're going to be doing. So make sure you hit the like and subscribe. Make sure, you hit the like button because you like this episode because we're awesome, clearly. Hit the subscribe button because we're geeky and you want more geeky shit in your life. And then go over to Road to Tarvalon and subscribe to our friend Amber, who's also amazing and the best at everything she does, which really kind of pisses me off sometimes. But yeah,
share this episode with all of your Star Wars geeky friends.
Yes.
Share.
Be like, look at these geeks.
Me and the geek we're going live tonight too, so tune in.
That's right. It's Friday night live stream.
Friday Night Live.
And then what are we doing here? What are we doing? I was saying goodbye. Tune in next time, same bat channel. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you everybody for watching this. Thank you for those likes. We love them. It's a free way to support us, and we love free shit. If you do see us at a convention, be sure to come say hi to us because we're going to have some free shit for you. Just saying. There's a little insider info. From all of us here at Two Geeks, One Mic, we thank you for tuning in. We thank you for watching. You are geeky as fuck, and we love you. Be sure to tune in next time as we get geekier and geekier. And wherever you are, we hope you leave this episode just a little bit more geeky than you were when you first started. From all of us here at Two Geeks, One Mic, I have been Josh.
I have been Eamon.
I have been and am currently still Amber.
Perfect. And stay geeky, my friend. Yeah, you say it, Eamon. It's better when you say it.
Stay geeky, my friend.